Hey traders, this is Chris Buss with your midday market pulse for Thursday, October 8th. Okay, not a ton happening today, but let's take a spin through the indexes and then we'll take a look at FANG and some other stocks. Okay, SPY on our 2-hour. We have broken out and now we've had a couple of back tests of the breakout, which is good. That's, an expected technical move. We've come back, haven't quite filled the gap from this morning, but as long as that 341.50 holds, I think we're in good shape. Here are the 30-minute candles. You can see that reach back. I didn't quite get there, but this was on Nancy Pelosi just came out and said there wasn't going to be any standalone airline stimulus bill, and the market had a knee-jerk reaction there for several bars. If you've been watching it, that's what that was. But it held, and as long as this holds, bulls are in good shape. Moving on to the Qs, very much the same thing. You can see here that the initial gap up, and then we have come back to backfill this open gap, and we've filled this prior gap as well. So tomorrow I will remove that, and really the next hurdle is 283. It seems like the Qs have been kind of soggy here in the morning. We'll get into it on the FANGs, but not seeing a ton of horsepower here today in the Qs. Here's the 30-minute chart. You can see that this gap has been filled. We noted the negative divergences, and just a point to note, I did send out to you guys a what if scenario if this 280 level were to fail, either this afternoon, tomorrow, Monday, it doesn't really matter when. But now that we've broken out above this 280 level, you don't want to come back in. So if that were to happen, I would be getting short, buying puts against the breakout, which is basically 280.50, and staying short and looking for a move down here, because once this has come up here, it should not come back. And we saw what happened over here. Now that was a gap down, but same difference. We had a false breakout, it gapped down and then went considerably lower. Now that we've come back up to that area, we do not want to come back down below 280, or else it opens up, all this downside. And you can see that we've got, a sizable gap here and one here from way back when that have not been filled yet. So those are going to be natural targets if price comes back in. So that wasn't some kind of dire warning or prediction. With the lag of, oh my God, it broke, and now I got to compose an email to send out to you guys. It's, not that quick. So that's going to be a standing thing going forward that we want to stay above. And anything below is going to be a bearish move. Moving on to IWM. Had the gap up, and now we've backfilled part of that, not all the way, but this still looks strong. Watch for this high level PPO if this were to curl over and put in a bear cross, coupled with RSI breaking trend, coming down. That would be a signal for a potential pullback to this 159 and the trend line, and that should be a place that price should hold. I need to fully develop this. I haven't done it yet, but you can see just on the 30-minute chart the same type of action. This is not a strong look here where we came down and now we're, rolling over a little bit. I'm going to keep my eye on that. But we're well above trend. You don't want to see, 159 or 160 and 159 go. This 160 is a nice breakout level. And, I want to see that hold. I want to see that triple breakout hold of SPY, Qs, and IWM. And as we mentioned this morning in the note, that breadth, breadth has really expanded since IWM has been participating in this rally, and that's a strong sign when certain stocks take a rest and then others fill in the gaps. That's good bullish market action. So I want to see IWM continue to participate in the rally. Moving on to the FANG names, starting with Facebook here, which has been about the strongest today as far as I can tell. We've broken out here above the 60-minute moving averages, and now we're challenging this 264 area. Now, on a break above 264, recapturing a level from below, that's your long trigger. If you weren't long on the open or you haven't gotten in yet, that's your next opportunity to buy, is above 264, and hopefully you would see that gap fill and then a run to the prior high up towards 268. So Facebook is showing some good relative strength today compared to the other FANG names. We've got a bull cross on the PPO, and we've got an RSI breakout up here. So those are lending itself to higher prices. Of course, right here is key resistance, so it's got to break out, and that's what you want to see if you're bullish. If you want to get long, it's right here above 264. Anything short of that, you can see back in this area here, quite a number of days where Facebook got rejected at 274. So, or excuse me, 264 right here. So it's not a foregone conclusion that this is going to break out. And if it did, that would be, fairly significant after being rejected all these times. Apple is still languishing. Showed a few little signs of life this morning, but still, toggling at this 115 line. I think the bulls really need to hold it and make a push above to feel a little bit more comfortable about being long Apple. Once we were to move back down below 115, I think you're probably going to find 114, 113, in that area pretty quickly. Amazon, very much kind of like Facebook. This 3,200 level has been a wall. We've had several false breakouts that have failed. So if you want to get long get long Amazon, you got to see a move above 3,200 with a hold, and that would be a really great sign. Otherwise, this is vulnerable to rolling over if it were to get rejected right here and come back to this 3,150 level. Microsoft, inching its way higher. Up here to this 211, that's your gap entry. That would be a good place to get long if price can move above. Look for a gap fill up towards 212.50, and then ultimately looking for a breakout above 213. But you can see the momentum profile is weak. RSI is, just kind of languishing above and below the 50 line. So there's not a lot of power here. And, you gotta, I wouldn't front run it. Let's put it this way. I wouldn't front run that. I would wait for the breakout above 211 or, probably just step aside, because until it does, it's vulnerable to coming back to this 208 area. Netflix. Got the big surge yesterday, and now we're coming back to this 525 support ledge. It's, this is where you're supposed to buy. Come up, give half of it back at support. That's where you're supposed to buy against 525. And as long as it holds, you're in good shape. But if it were to break, with a stop just below, you got to get out, because then it's coming back to 520 and possibly lower. But it's done everything it's supposed to do in terms of, retracing part of this quick advance and holding 525. So if you took your entry here this morning or now at 525, I think you're fine. It's just got to hold, and then look for, a push this afternoon, or if you're going to hold it into tomorrow, look for this 534, 535 area up here for it to make another push. Google's had a nice day. Big impulsive bar. That's what you want to see when you're breaking out from this resistance. You don't want to see it just kind of limp through. You want to see a strong bar, and we got that this morning. So now it's kind of consolidating, and the next objective would be 1490 on the upside. So that's been the best bar in a long time for Google, and that's nice to see. Tesla has been soggy. I sent out in the pre-market, if this gap up and you come back to 430, that should be bought there. And it's very much like the Netflix setup, where it went up and now it's come back to a well-defined support area, because when it was below, 430 was resistance, and now it's above. So that should hold. And if it doesn't, then, back down we go. But for now, it's holding that level, and that's what the bulls want to see. Now in the afternoon, you got to see a push. You got to see a push higher up towards 440 and above. Gold's not doing anything today. Silver's not doing anything today. NEO got a little push this morning, came up and touched the top of the box, but has since fallen back. This trade's a lot in line with Tesla, so it got a push this morning with Tesla, and now it's come back with Tesla. I'm not saying they're directly linked, but they do tend to trade in line. Well, we gotta get a breakout above 2250 for our longs to really work. So that's what I'm looking forward to. I don't want to see closes below 2150, or else it's going to be, back down here to, 2050, and I don't want to see that. FSLY, this is our big winner from yesterday. Had shown a little weakness in the early part of the session, and now is firmed up. Nothing to worry about so far as I can see. Just kind of digesting this move. I wouldn't be shocked if it spent a few days here and then reaccelerated. That's what I'm looking for. I'm in the October 23rd 120 calls, and I'm just going to sit there and hope that that it works, that it gets a reacceleration. TLT, nothing going on. AMD, this was a trade idea from earlier in the week. I really like this. It's moving into this void. If you got long this morning, you're looking good. I'm looking for a push higher. A lot of call buying on the institutional side today, so I really like this to head higher into next week, up into the low 90s. I like that trade against 87, starting to get away. So if you want to get in it, get in it. This morning would have been better, but I think you're still probably okay if you set a stop like 87.50 or even 88, below this hourly candle. Jamia, this is one where we made a bunch of money earlier in the year, has ignited. Seeing some big money call buying here. I think I was considering jumping on it, but I'm going to wait a little bit. I think I'm going to hope for a little pullback or a hesitation here under 11, and then get a push higher, move out from all this value area. There's at least one guy I know in the trading room that had gotten long down in here and stuck with it, and he got that big impulsive breakout. And the thing to notice here, in that one shot, it has moved above all the moving averages, the 200 and the fast averages. So those are going to act as support. I hope we get a chance to get an entry here in the days ahead. I don't want to buy it. It's up 20%. I think we missed that opportunity either, real early this morning or, yesterday. But it's on the radar, and you should put it on your watch list. Pot stocks are starting to move, probably on Biden hopes, and that's probably a good bet. I mean, at this point, if you wanted to take a shot at the ETF, I mean, go out to January. Go out to January, anchor a position and just sit in it. And, if Biden gets elected, you're probably going to see a moonshot on a lot of these names. Another name that caught my eye was Cron, C-R-O-N. Just recaptured the 50 this morning. That would be a nice line to shoot against on that one. But all the names are perking up, and that might, if you're looking for kind of a speculative play, that might be a decent one to sit in. XRT, inching above, nothing real impulsive there, but I still like XRT. Same thing with XLI. Maybe pull the trigger on that this afternoon. I'll send out a note if I get long. But I saw a decent buy up here in November 85 calls. Kind of a cheap shot, $5 out of the money. That's not really my kind of trade. If I want to get in it, I'm going to get in, at the money and capture that move and set a stop right below the box here at, 79.50 or 79. If you gave yourself $1 and you got that $5 move, that's still a 5-to-1 risk reward ratio, and that's awesome. We're moving out of this trading range, and if the market stays strong and we get some upside surprises during earnings season, this will elevate. The only thing I don't like about XLI is Boeing being the largest component, and that one has not been setting the world on fire. So keep that in mind. If that's a big, huge negative for you, you might want to stay out of it. But I think money is flowing into industrials, and as long as Boeing is not, a massive negative, if it just stays neutral or, rises a little bit, I still think we can get a push in XLI. And lastly, to wrap up, this was also pointed out earlier in the notes. Intel has broken into this massive gap that was created on earnings over the summer, where they had a bad report and the bottom fell out. So now we're back above, inside the gap, looking for a push higher to challenge the 200 here at 54. And if it can move above that, then move to this resistance level at around 55.50 to around 56. But I think that's a good trade as well. If everything stays strong, you have a clear line to shoot against here at 52.50. And if you've got, an expanded time horizon, you can sit in this long and just let it grind away. This is not going to be some fast trade. There are levels of resistance it's going to have to get through, like the 200 and this big level here. But that said, if semis remain strong and the market remains strong, I would expect this to grind higher. So that's all I have. At midday, I'll certainly let you know this afternoon if I see anything monumental. I think we may be seeing a little bit of a transition. If today is any guide, is that we may be seeing a period of time where the Qs maybe lag IWM, because in order for the Qs to move, the big cap tech has to move. And they've been soggy now for several weeks while IWM has taken off. So if the Qs or the large cap tech names remain soggy, I think money's kind of coming out of that sector and finding more of the cyclical names, possibly in anticipation of stimulus and all that stuff, either before or after the election, front running it, assuming that it's coming. And so that's something to watch for, because we've done well, both in intraday trading and longer term swing trading in the large cap tech names. They've done so well over the summer, and now it may be a time for them to go dormant for a while. Not necessarily sell off, just not be as energetic as they have been in this past period of time. So that's something to keep your eye on, and I'll keep my eye on it too. Okay, if you're new, please hit the like button if you like the content today, and hit the subscribe button. It would be great if you joined the team and got my content, every time I publish. That would be awesome. Check out the show notes where you can find links to my blog site and to register for my content and have all this stuff delivered right to your email box each and every time I publish. This has been Chris Buss with Traders Profit Compass. Have a good afternoon of trading.